Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and it's time for more Scuttlebutt. This week's game in the background brought to you by Tier 10 American cruiser USS Worcester. Worcester? Worcester? I don't know, whatever. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it depending on which part of the Northeast you happen to be standing in, but whatever. Don't call it Worcester. That's wrong. Anyways, I've been on a bit of an American cruiser kick lately, and I had a game that posted on the channel this morning last week where I kind of rediscovered the reworked unique or legendary upgrade for USS Worcester, and I have been kind of playing through games in the ship to kind of get a feel for it and just try some different things with it. This game, in particular, turned out pretty well. I don't get to use much of the AA armament because, well, no carrier, but I get good use out of just about everything else, and it turns out to be a pretty solid game. I spent a lot of time, a non-zero amount of time, playing open water Worcester, which is something that I'm learning to do. I'm learning. I won't say I'm learning how to do it because the techniques and methods you use are very similar to any other open water light cruiser play that you end up with. But there's a widely accepted, I think, notion that you don't play ships like Des Moines or Salem or Worcester here as open water ships at Tier 10 in Tier 10 games. And I feel like that's not necessarily the case. I mean, I think there's definitely situations where you want to be that's where you should be. I won't get too much in depth in terms of this, but I will point out there's at least one kind of about the first third of the game here where it's me versus a couple of battleships, and you'll see me pick and choose when I'm firing very carefully because I'm waiting for those battleships to be looking somewhere else or have their guns pointed somewhere else or whatever. And yes, they do take pot shots at me, but because I'm able to kind of see them shift their target, pick me up as a priority target, I can slow down, change my speed, change my angle, and I weather that fire pretty easily. So enjoy this game. I was pretty proud of this one. Came out okay. What's going on in shooty boats? Guys, it is Virtual Fleet Week. Now, this is something that Wargaming has put together in partnership with Verizon here in the United States, one of our big telecom and communications providing companies. And what they're doing is they're doing at least one stream. I think it's actually a whole series of streams this week. I'm not sure, but it's at least the one. It's going to be airing literally today as this video goes live. This is Monday, the 9th of November. This afternoon at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, will be a big Fleet Parade, Fleet Week virtual thing done over on Twitch. They're going to have the participation of a professor of military history from the University of North Texas, which is really awesome. His name's Jeffrey Walrow. And then they're also going to have participation from a variety of museum ships here in the United States. USS Midway in San Diego, USS Lexington just down the way here in Corpus Christi, USS Iowa in Los Angeles, California, and USS Intrepid in New York City. All of those, I think they're going to have probably like live shots and live participation from each of those ships, and it's going to be a cool deal. I'm going to check this out. Like, I'm really curious to see, how this is going to go. So this is something really cool that they're trying. It comes with later on in the month. No, excuse me. It's early next month, I believe. They've announced it for early December. That sounds right. They're doing both a cash tournament that has not been very well defined, like explained yet, but is apparently coming. So keep your eyes to the ground for that. When I know more, I'll let you guys know, or I'll make sure to point it out in future Scuttlebutt. And then they're doing a charity tournament, it looks like, with actual veterans coming in to play the game and, do a little mini tournament, a little 4 or 5 team tournament for charity with some money probably going to, Wounded Warrior or something like that. Again, all of that is not really defined in the sense of we don't have all the details yet. But the fact that they're doing this is really cool. One of the things that we, especially in the U.S., we may not necessarily give Wargaming enough credit for is how much work and love they show the veteran community here in the United States and all our museum ships, right? I mean, look at the various museum ships that have benefited from Wargaming fundraisers over the years. Battleship Texas, right here in Houston. USS Batfish in central Oklahoma. Several other ships, I believe, have gone through that kind of, Wargaming's, conspired to help raise money for them, or they've been featured in a video or on the channel, on the Twitch channel, or on a news article. We've had previous fundraisers for veteran causes. We've had previous fundraisers for Team Rubicon, which, if you're not familiar with Team Rubicon, that is a a veteran-run organization here in the United States that provides emergency and disaster relief. So they mobilize veterans to go into disaster zones to help people clean up and rebuild and so on and so forth. And it's a purely, I'm pretty sure it's a 501(c). It's a nonprofit organization. They fund themselves through donations. I've donated to them before. My wife is a huge supporter. So yeah, I mean, and Wargaming has worked with Team Rubicon before. So I mean, we give Wargaming a lot of crap, right, for some of their questionable design choices, let's say, they make in the game from time to time. But I do think it's also worth pointing out every now and then the work that they do for the veteran community here in the United States and presumably elsewhere, and give them some kudos where it's deserved. So props to them, and check out Virtual Fleet Week. I'm going to be looking forward to this this afternoon when it comes online. What else is going on? I'm kind of looking through the news posts here. Nothing's really leaping out at me as kind of, ooh, we should be talking about this. Of course, we are in the second half now of the patch for the release of the American battleship Ranch, which, if you're excited by that sort of thing, my condolences, but I'm not a huge fan of these ships. But that's going on right now. I mean, yay! What else is going on? They've been kind of getting back onto the devlog post in the last week or so. We had quite a bit of information drop in the last couple of weeks, making some changes to ships that are currently in testing. All of the Italian battleships have had some tweaks while they've been in testing. One of the ones I want to highlight, I didn't get the chance to highlight this in my last Scuttlebutt, Tier 6 Premium Commonwealth Cruiser Mysore, or however you say it. They did get around to changing her AP shells so they match up with the British light cruiser AP shells. So they now have the short fuse timer, I believe, a little bit higher velocity, a little bit higher damage, and so on. So she only has access to AP armament. It looks like they have finally brought that ship around to where it matches up with the British light cruisers, which I feel was a good change. I think she needed that. They have announced more ships, more new ships, I should say. Of course, at the moment, the Tier 6, 7, 8, and 10 Italian battleships are currently on the server in super testing. You may have the opportunity to see one of those lying, sailing around in-game. The Tier 4, 5, and 9 ships were announced recently over on the dev blog, and I'll put a link down below. You can go check those out. They also announced Tier 10 Commonwealth Destroyer. This is HMAS Vampire 2. Now, originally, Vampire would have been a site, probably, I think, we're coming up in January. At the end of January would have been a Anchors Away Tour event aboard Vampire 2 in Darling Harbor in Sydney, and I was looking forward to that. I was planning to go to that. I had tickets booked and everything, but unfortunately, obviously, the corona pandemic has ended all of that, so no dice there. But the ship is coming to the game, which is awesome. Makes total sense. She's a daring class ship. We've already got the model in the game. Why not do this? So this ship will be coming to super testing soon. And they've also announced a Pan-Asian version of Tier 8 Japanese destroyer Akizuki. So this will be a premium Pan-Asian ship of the Akizuki class. Apparently she was transferred to the Chinese Navy a few years after the war. Bizarrely, this ship will have defensive AA fire as a consumable, which is something that Akizuki and her sister ships up the line have never had, much to the complete bafflement of everybody for ships that were literally designed as AA destroyers from the keel up. But now the Pan-Asian version will mysteriously have this, so, I mean, okay, it's kind of strange. Anyway, I have high hopes for this ship. I like Akizuki. I feel like Akizuki and Kitakaze at Tier 9 are probably two of the best kept secrets in the game. How they've avoided the nerf bat for so long is a mystery to me, and here they are. I mean, this ship's coming with smoke and torpedo reload booster and defensive fire and these ridiculous guns and deep water torpedoes, and yeah, I think the ship has a lot of potential, so I'm looking forward to testing her out. They've announced some of the details of the New Year celebration that will be coming in 9.12 at the very end of the year. Remember, we've just had 9.10 drop at the end of October, which means 9.11 will probably come towards the end of November, and 9.12 will probably drop the very last week of the year or just before Christmas. Sometime in those last 2 weeks of 2020, we will get our last patch of the year. That'll be 9.12. The Snowflake thing is returning. For, let's see, at Tiers 5 to 7, you can earn coal. At Tiers 8 and 9, you can earn steel. And with Tier 10, just like last year, you'll be able to earn the big gift containers that award better stuff. There'll be a new holiday campaign, it looks like. 2 new holiday campaigns, I should say. It looks like Strasbourg, Tier 7 French battleship Strasbourg is going to be one of the reward ships this year for the holiday event, which is pretty awesome. I mean, so far, I have not played Strasbourg, but looking over in port, I'm not impressed. But if she's going to be a freebie and like a freemium ship, it's like, nah, all right, I can perhaps be a little less complaining about kind of how weak the ship is. There'll be a new dockyard event lining up with all of this. That will be for Tier 9 Japanese battleship Heisen. That's coming, looks like it's coming in 9/12. She'll have at least one alternate camo to go along with all of that, and so on and so forth. I'll put the link down below. You can go check out all the information that they've posted so far on that patch. But another holiday patch coming. We're almost there. You know, Christmas is like only 7 weeks away here, something like that. So yeah, I'm not surprised that we're starting to see some info come out of this. That's good to see. Couple more changes worth noting on the blog. They've been doing another round of submarine testing. By the time you've watched this video, it'll be long over. But they had extended it a little bit to give folks some more time over there. I did not try this out. I've reached a point in my life where I am largely too busy to go over to the test server and spend time over there. When they bring these test cycles to the live client, I will absolutely spend some time on it. I'll do it on my Twitch channel, or I'll make a video or two here, and we'll talk through it. But in general, I did not go play this, so unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to help you in understanding, you know, was this good or was this bad. They did post several articles that detailed all the changes they had made. I read through those. Those sounded good. I liked the changes they had made to the mode and everything, but I don't know. I did not experience them firsthand, so I can't give you my firsthand experiences as to whether or not they were any good or not. And then lastly, just a few days ago, they announced a change to attack aircraft. Now, this is really interesting. So, remember, attack aircraft are the infamous rocket planes that destroyer players have really been struggling with and, honestly, justifiably complaining about since the carrier rework went live almost 2 years ago. Yes, guys, we're coming up on 2 years since the rework has gone live. And there's been a lot of contention about rocket planes one way or the other. Some people like them, some people hate them, some people don't mind them. I'm kind of in the I don't mind them so much camp. There's been some changes recently. They've made some changes to the targeting reticles that I feel like have made a difference, that have improved the quality of life a little bit. There are some folks out there that don't agree, and I admit that the ships that they were referring to in particular I have not played a whole lot of, so I'm probably still I need to make some time to try and gather a little more data on that. But for better or for worse, Wargaming has, lots and lots of people have highlighted this particular interaction to Wargaming as, guys, this is not okay. This is effed up, right? So what they're doing is they're going to do a closed test of changes to attack aircraft. They're going to increase basically the delay between the time you press the left mouse button to start the attack run and the time that they're ready to go. At least that's how I understand it. That might also mean it actually looks like they might mean they're saying the length of the attack animation is increased. And I think maybe what they really mean is they're doing something more like what you have with Tier 10 Premium American Carrier Franklin D. Roosevelt. When you have to lead FDR's rockets. I mean, you have to lead them. But from when you push the button to when those rockets land where they're going is probably the better part of 3 seconds, which is really unusual for rockets. When you drive enough carrier, the typical time from push button to rocket landing is about a second, maybe a second and a half. You have to lead the target, but you don't have to lead it extreme. FDR's rockets, you definitely have to put a little more lead on those things because of how far out that reticle is. And it sounds like they might be trying to bring that change to everybody's rocket planes. I'm actually okay with this. I feel like, once again, it offers the destroyer player more opportunities for maneuvering, and so on and so forth, to change his angle, to change his profile, so that he absorbs less damage, or potentially no damage if he can sneak it under the reticle and miss and cause the attack to miss entirely, which can happen. I've done it. I've had it done to me. So yeah, we'll see. They're saying the speed at which the crosshair is reducing is increased, and the penalty to reduction for maneuvering is lowered. So what they're saying is, it now takes longer, once you press the left mouse button to start the attack run, it takes longer for the reticle to hone in, to come down, to shrink down to that minimum distance, and then as soon as you move the mouse, you change direction on the planes, there'll be less penalty for maneuvering. I think that's okay. That's an okay trade-off, honestly, because it means that you won't get as penalized as hard for trying to maneuver, but it will take longer for that reticle to shrink down to like optimal size. And then they're saying markers showing the exact spot which each rocket will hit are added. Markers are shown not only for the aircraft carrier player, but also to the ship being attacked. So, me, as the destroyer player on the surface, I'm going to see little dots, apparently, on the map that will show me where the rockets are going to land. What the hell? That makes no sense. That almost sounds like a hack, right? Like, when you see videos of these guys that use these cheat overlays, right? They get these little hash markers on the surface of the water that show them where incoming shells will land 12 to 15 seconds, potentially, before they arrive. This would be a similar kind of thing, right? You'd have some kind of marker on the surface of the water that would give you like a 3-second lead time to show you, oh, that's where the rockets are coming. What? That doesn't make any sense. I guess I can only think that they're trying this from a testing perspective just to see, like, technologically how it works or what it does, or is it too much, or I don't know. That to me feels like a dumb change. The other two changes I'm on board with. I think they're worth testing. I don't like this last change. I feel like that I mean, play around with it, test it, do the close test all you want, but please don't bring this to life. This feels like a giant mess waiting to happen. But yeah, my opinion on carriers has been quite under quite a bit of scrutiny and attack lately. It's been a lot of fun to argue with people who've called me CV apologist. I'm like, apologist for what? They're in the game. What am I apologizing for? It's like, they exist. Deal with them or leave. I mean, that's pretty much where we're at, kids. There's not a whole lot of middle ground here. I mean, they're not going anywhere. So either play in tiers where they don't exist, or learn to deal with them. I don't know. That's a whole other video, I suppose. Anyway, guys, that probably wraps it up here. That's about all the news that's really worth checking out. Definitely check out Fleet Week. That looks like it's going to be really cool. I'm really curious to see what they have in store for this. I'm excited. Hope you enjoyed this game in Worcester. I did manage to bag a Kraken here at the very end. I was pretty excited by that. And yeah, that Minotaur at the very end kind of giving me just the shot I needed right there at the end. I was afraid the Montana was going to steal it, but I snuck it under the wire and stole it away. Anyway, guys, y'all be safe out there. Have a great week. Wash your hands. Be safe. And I'll catch you next time.